People might suggest, of course, that it started off with such a big bang, a massive flourish, the world's media attention. You couldn't pick up a newspaper or click online without seeing another lurid headline. This, of course, was when the roses were smelling rather sweet, and more importantly, the publisher thought that you literally knew exactly what you were doing and how to sell your own product. Similarly, though, a week is a long time in the world of publishing, and while these publishers do shell out quite a lot of money in advance for these scurrilous books, and some might say very popular books in fairness, full of alleged royal gossip with no clear backup, now they've hit a problem. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. How are you? Nice to see you today. And as ever, thank you so much for joining me. When you think about royal books, a lot of people have asked me, why don't you write a book? Well, the bottom line is, truthfully, you can't get anybody down on pat to commit, unless, of course, you can prove that you've had a one-to-one sit down, say with like Queen Camilla or indeed the former royal known as Prince Harry, as one author did. But even then, they weren't allowed to take notes or indeed use a picture for publicity. So it's difficult, and that really leaves the door wide open to be able to write and say anything you want in print, because you can say, well, I spoke to alleged people. Of course, you don't, do you? And that's the problem. Now, the difference is, of course, television reporting and more importantly, digital reporting are not necessarily in that framework, particularly when you are also looking in print form to be so scurrilous and outrageous that you're trying to shock, sell, and more importantly, get the book talked about. This is, of course, the new problem now for the publishers of that book, this book, in fact, and this particular author. You see, it all started off so well. People around the world were interested. And more importantly, they thought they've got another bestseller on their hands. They didn't give the advance as much as people suggested, because this particular author, and as ever we have to say allegedly, decided on a fatal mistake. They decided that they were going to take a percentage of forthcoming book sales. Now, that is always a risk. You can do that really with a record, with a movie, a TV series, that sort of stuff. It's normally done in conjunction with the production team and the backers, basically meaning that they have a low risk, and you, because you believe you can sell it, will have a lot of money coming in. That didn't necessarily work out. The book has clearly flopped. No two ways about it. Now, of course, the blame game set in, and this is where it gets rather tricky, you see, because over here in the United Kingdom, there are no front window displays, and the publishers are not willing to pay for such displays. Oh yes, you have to pay for them, right? And now they decided also, and as ever we have to say allegedly, that the author isn't really the best person to sell their own work. You see, what you're seeing is someone who looks very unsure, very insecure in the interviewer's seat, offering to swear on his family's life and stuff like that. Very childish, very immature, and really not exactly the sort of backbone of what you're trying to sell, which is a hard book exposing allegedly all the shenanigans within the British monarchy. So where does it go from here? Well, they're winding down on PR, let me tell you. Radio ads and television ads, well, that was talked about, but has never come to fruition. As I say, no major window displays, and they're trying to sort of scale back on the author speaking out too much. Of course, the usual rebuttals are coming from all sides, and they're basically saying it's the fault of the press. They've taken the book apart, and now there's no reason for anybody to buy it, particularly at something like £20 plus. But even in my local bookstore, it's down to £7.50 as in a hardback to try and shift it. Sadly, as the owner told me, it's not going very well. It's the wrong time of year. You're battling celebrity tell-all books themselves. And the royals, not necessarily, are the ripest things at Christmas time. People veer them as warm, friendly, and of course something to rely on. Naturally so. So while people were suggesting this could be the end of the British monarchy, it now looks like the end of one particular individual, or perhaps even the Publishing Companies Association with that said author. It is a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.